What is up, everybody? Welcome back. We have a new set of information that we have for the Sandbox. Finally, we are talking a little bit more about the Sandbox for Destiny, and this week at Bungie for 10/22/2020. Now, we have a lot to go over. We have a lot of stuff to cover. We have a lot of exciting things about the future, especially for trials, like Adept weapons, as well as talking about hand cannons, scout rifles, rocket launchers, swords, exotics, the fallen guillotine, the mountaintop. Are they still going to be useful? We'll see. Kind of hard to tell at this point, but let's get straight into it. Now, starting off, hand cannons. Hand cannons are kind of in a weird place. They have way too many rate of fires, so they're trying to bring it down to where they're all kind of within a similar range. Now, for aggressive hand cannons, those are 110. Some examples of 110 can be the Sturm, it could be Bad News, the Iron Banner, Criminal's Dagger, the Shadowkeep Loud Lullaby. Those kind of hand cannons, they are being increased from 110 to 120. Bungie states that broke out aggressive hand cannons allow custom tuning of stat, like damage fall off for 100 range, and the subfamily now starts at 32 meters. There's also, because of this change, going to a high rate of fire, that damage fall off range, and it can also increase the time to kill for these hand cannons now. So that's just really good news all in itself. Now, adaptive and precision, let's talk about these. The range stat has now got more impact on a minimum damage fall off for both archetypes. The damage fall off for the 100 range now starts at 25 meters. It was 20, so we have a 5-meter increase for the damage fall off, as well as precision hand cannons. The 180 ROF magazine scaled up by 37%, and this also affects hand cannons that are exotic. Now, what are some 180 hand cannons? Well, the Malfeasance is one of them for an exotic, the Cold Sweat, the Ikelos hand cannon, the Nature of the Beast, the Optative, Service Revolver, as well as Seventh Seraph. Those are just some examples of 180s that are getting a magazine increase of 37%. Now, lightweight folded into the adaptive, so they're kind of mixing them together. Moved all lightweight hand cannons 150 RF, which some 150s are the Rose, Not Forgotten, the Midnight Coup, Luna's Howl, the Jack Queen King 3, Dire Promise, Hideous Code, and Thorn. All of those hand cannons to 150 RF are being moved down to 140. No more 150 RFs. All of them, except for one, are going down to 140, so just a lower rate of fire. The only hand cannon that is going to be 150 in the entire game. It's not going to be up to speculation. It's beautiful. It does solar damage. It makes enemies explode. It's the Sunshot. The Sunshot is going to be the only hand cannon that's going to be 150. Every other 150 currently in the game right now is going to be moved down to 140. Now, I'm not sure why they made this change, because 150s were overall much better than 140, so I guess they're just trying to give you more diversity to use different hand cannons, even though they're all the same archetype. So, you know, it could be a good change. And there was also like, why is there a 140 if there's a 150? That's not really much of a difference, so just put them all together and we'll see where it goes. Now, moving on to sniper rifles. We want sniper rifles to feel powerful without being so easy to use that they dominate, and they definitely dominate. Now, what are they doing to sniper rifles? They are adjusting how aim assist is effective by the sniper rifle zoom level. Lower zoom scopes have a large reduction in the cone angle for adjusted aim. Lower zoom scopes have a large reduction in aim assist. Higher zoom scopes have a smaller increase in aim assist. So overall, they're just adjusting the aim assist for lower zooms and higher zooms. Higher zooms get a little bit more aim assist, lower zooms get less aim assist. Now, auto rifles, what are they going to do to these? In Season of the Worthy, they gave the 600 rate of fires a buff. Now they're going to be debuffing that, like taking away a little bit of that buff, while still keeping it a mid-level, not completely taking away. Let's see what they're talking about. For adaptive auto rifles, the 600 RF. These kind of auto rifles are like the Hardlight, Monte Carlo, Suros Regime, the Arc Logic, Duty Bound, Galliard, Ghost Promise 9 Hunger, those kind of auto rifles. The damage per bullet is reduced from 15.75 damage per bullet to 14.25. Now this is still technically a buff, because in prior to Season of the Wither when they made that buff, it was 13.75. So we're still getting a good bit amount of damage, but it's not going to be an insane amount like it already is right now. Moving on to scout rifles. Scout rifles are absolutely useless right now. No use just about anywhere. If it doesn't have explosive rounds, there's no point of it. And it seems like they're still going to be pretty useless based on what they're telling us. Scouts have a reasonable time to kill and can't be adjusted too much without making them dominate the battlefield, so I'm making them a little easier to use. They are increasing how much each point of the aim assist stat widens the aim assist cone. At maximum, the aim assist cone is now 15% wider. So they're not really doing much except giving us 15% more aim assist. Rocket launchers. These heavy weapons currently have very low reserve, so we're adjusting that. They are increasing the reserves of rocket launchers by 1 or 2 rockets depending on the inventory stat. So you can expect to have at least 2 to 3 rockets, but is that really gonna make you want to put on a rocket launcher? At least for me it's not, so scouts and rocket launchers are still pretty useless unless we get another broken glitch like we did with Riven and cluster bombs, because ever since they nerfed cluster bombs, it's been no use for using any kind of rocket launcher. Now earlier in the year, they talked to us about adjusting some perks, and the only perk that they seem to be talking about right now that they're making changes to is Outlaw. For what the reload speed increase felt insufficient with certain subfamilies and combinations of roles, like aggressive hand cannons. For Outlaw, they are increasing the reload stat bonus from plus 50 to plus 70, so we're getting a little bit of an increase with Outlaw. Now, let's go on to some exotics and some weapons that feel like they're exotic. Starting off with Merciless, increased the inventory stat from 36 to 55. That is a huge increase. So maybe this thing will actually provide some use. Let's talk about Mountaintop. We've had a ton of feedback that Mountaintop feels a bit over the top in Crucible modes. This pinnacle weapon has had ample time to shine, so we're taking it down a notch. Here are some pain points that Bungie noted with Mountaintop. A one-shot body with infinite range. A quick and easy cleanup on wounded guardians. Deals high splash damage with rewarding players for inaccuracy. Perfect in-air accuracy allows airborne guardians, warlocks, to rain down death, and does not much grounded guardians can do to respond. So, those are the pain points that Bungie have noted. Here are the changes that they are addressing. They are reducing the splash damage by 33%, increasing the impact damage such that total damage is 5% lower than before. So, reducing the splash damage by 1/3. Yikes. They are reducing the projectile velocity multiplier from the micro missile perk from 1.4 to 1.2. So instead of having a 40% faster velocity multiplier than other breach grenade launchers, it's now only 20%. They are reducing the in-air accuracy, which now has significant projectile error while in air, around 70 degrees without the Icarus Grid mod. So what that basically means is that you kind of have to aim a little bit more than when you already are right now. Now let's talk about an exotic sword, which actually is just a legendary. The Fallen Guillotine. They are reducing the heavy attack damage by 24% to bring it in line with other swords. The Fallen Guillotine will still be slightly above average, but just not to the extent that it is now. Let's go on to some other exotics now. For the Mida Mini Tool, they have moved the Mida Synergy trait to the Intristic, similar to how the Baroque version works. And they added Hipfire Grip and Kill Clip. For the Sturm and Drang, what they are changing on the Drang is they are moving the Together Forever trait to the Intristic, same as the Mini Tool, and they are adding accuratized rounds and moving target. Now, in case you do not have the Might and Mini tool or the Drang, here is what they're going to do in Beyond Light. Starting with Beyond Light, the gunsmith will begin selling a version of this weapon on November 10th with no infusion cap. So in case you don't have that weapon now, you didn't do the quest for Sturm and Drang, or you didn't get the mini tool from, I think, the Menagerie. I think the Menagerie is where the mini tool drops. Then you'll be able to get it from the gunsmith when Beyond Light drops. Now, Ruinous Effigy, let's talk about this gun. They are reducing the damage of the aerial melee attack by 25%. And they're significantly reducing the damage of the drain effect on enemy combatants. Arbalist. The Arbalist no longer strikes shields multiple times, but its efficacy against shielded targets has been increased. And finally, for all the weapon changes that we have so far, the Jade Rabbit. They are swapping armor piercing rounds with high caliber rounds, and this also faces an issue that prevents the exotic perk from triggering. So that's all the sandbox changes that we have for legendary and exotic weapons so far. Hopefully we'll get some more updates before Beyond Light releases in just 3 weeks, but let's move on to the next part of this TWAB. Adept weapons, Trials of Osiris. What are they going to do with adept weapons? Let's start off with what the dev team is telling us. Beginning in Beyond Light, all existing trial weapons have adept versions. Our intent is for all new trials weapons to have an adept version in the future, with their infusion caps matching the season they were introduced in. For our first round of adepts, their infusion caps will be set to that of Season of the Worthy. Additionally, we will be introducing adept weapon mods into the sandbox and Beyond Light, which can be applied to adept weaponry. Master Working an adept weapon grants additional stats. +10 for the primary stat, and +3 for all alternate stats. As well as adept weapons can use either a standard weapon mod or a new adept weapon mod, which you can get by going flawless. A unique adept shader has also been made for these weapons, but it can only be used for the adept weapons. These shaders are not rewarded as a consumable when dismantling an adept weapon. They cannot be applied to any other pieces of gear. And it seems like this picture right here is showing us that shader, which honestly looks really good. Kind of sad that we can't attach it to like flawless pieces of armor that we get from the chest or things like that. Now, what are some adept weapon mods that we can expect? Weapon stat bonuses, each of which grants +10 to a particular stat in a similar way to Masterwork stats. So like an adept range mod will add +10 range. Versions of some existing mods granting an improved bonus, but with the downside, like an adept magazine gives you +40 to the magazine, but also decreases your handling by 20. Now, how do we acquire these adept weapons and adept weapon mods? Each week, a different adept mod can drop from the flawless chest. Adept weapon mods will now be on a weekly rotation, so a given mod may not make its appearance until later in that season. The mod is unlocked for use on owned adept weapons when acquired, so you cannot put adept mods on regular pieces of guns or armor. You can only put it on the adept weapons. Adept weapons will be available on a flawless chest on a bi-weekly basis, alternating with armor drops. So that is absolutely everything that we have for this TWAB. Everything about the sandbox, everything about the adept weapons, but there are still so many questions that we have, and doesn't feel like we're gonna get an answer to, because we only have 3 weeks until Beyond Light launches. 3 weeks, and we still have so many things we want to ask and get answers to. But hopefully within those 3 weeks we'll get those answered. As well as a little reminder, if you are still grinding out titles, these are the titles that are going to be gone on November 10th when Beyond Light launches. Shadow, Reckoner, Blacksmith, Wayfarer, Chronicler, and Forerunner. If you are going for Chronicler and you still need even just one lore entry of Truth to Power, you will not be able to get it, because the sad part of all this is the next time it is a full curse week when you will be able to get Truth to Power is the same day Beyond Light launches. And when Beyond Light launches, you cannot get Chronicler. You can still get the lore entry, but the title will be gone. By the way, that's all we have for this TWAB. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.